am here speaking with Chef Josh DeChellis. Hi, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. And we just had a tasting of Prosecco paired with your food. And
You were tasting, I was working.
Yeah, you were working hard
Right,
putting out some food for us.
But
and
I was tasting some Prosecco, I can't lie. So.
Okay, great, great. And you are from Fry Restaurant?
No, Bar Fry Restaurant.
Bar Fry, excuse me.
Yeah, it's a tempura shop we're opening in Greenwich Village. We're really excited about it.
And that's on Carmine Street?
It is, 50 Carmine.
Okay.
50
great.
Carmine.
And so this today we were challenging you to pair some of your food with some of the Prosecco.
I didn't realize it was a challenge.
Well, you know what I mean. It's
Right.
it's the notion of putting together some of these wines with your food. So what was your organizing principle?
Well, I was saying before that it was really an education for me to taste through a bunch of different kinds of Prosecco. I really didn't, I didn't think about or realize the bandwidth of the flavor profiles that Prosecco can represent. So I was really excited to get to play with some of the ones that were sweeter, some of the ones that were drier, some of the ones that were a little bitter with some tannins in them. And it gave me a lot of latitude to use ingredients from Japan, from Italy, from the States, from California, from everywhere.
Yeah. I want to talk about the second dish that you made.
Everybody's talking about the second
because it has
dish.
such great flavor and such Japanese flavor, which of course you don't necessarily expect with Prosecco to be paired with. So it was an avocado terrine.
Yes.
And you actually had it you served it in a terrine form with an aspic, right?
I'm so happy to hear people gravitated towards that dish. It's I was really happy with it. I wasn't sure how it was going to be received. So
well, good.
That's awesome.
Now there in the description, you talked about the nori and all the things in it, but I think you snuck in some shiso leaf in there, didn't you?
I snuck in some shiso leaf and some mitsuba, which is another Japanese herb.
Yeah, and it's very similar to shiso. I mean, they both have that spicy kind of minty, peppery flavor.
Refreshing, I just imagine summer in Japan. They're both very refreshing. It helps refresh the ramp, which is a wild garlic onion type thing, and that has much like all the alliums, it has a bit of base notes to it. So the fresh herbs kind of refresh that and turn it around.
There's a piquancy, but also a sweetness that happens with, as you say, with the allium things. And ramp is very interesting because it really only comes out at a certain time of year, right? We're very blessed now to be at the very beginning of summer where we're still having a few ramps.
Well, the jelly that held the terrine or the avocado together that formed the terrine was pickled ramp liquid that I added gelatin to, and I added a little bit of lychee juice to it, because I felt that the flavor, the aroma of the Prosecco was going to be served with had a little bit of exotic fruit to it. So,
okay,
it's funny. I really, really, really like to separate myself from history of ingredients, where they're from, how they're conventionally or traditionally conceived and treated, which I feel like helps me focus more on the flavor, the smell, the taste, the consistency.
So you don't get stuck in what's expected of the pairing.
What other people have sort of deemed before me. They're no different than me. I study, flavor and smell and sense for my life. And why would I listen to what somebody else thinks? Somebody else tells me that's how it should be treated, and that's it. To hell with that. That's ridiculous.
Well, we love hearing that because we're always telling our listeners to taste with your own palate and to really choose your own pairings and go with it. Don't necessarily listen to what someone else says.
You and I paddle the same boat because the palate, it's one of our senses. It's not the sense of taste isn't as important as sight or hearing. If you can't see, how much money has been spent to correct the sight. Everybody's sight's different, their hearing's different, and their palate's different. There's no one right answer ever when it comes to flavor.
And I'm always reminded of that at these pairings, at these tastings, because the person sitting next to you might say, "Oh, I really love this," and you say, "Well, that one didn't really do it for me, but man, this one did."
Right.
So it really gives you an example of how palates are different.
I totally agree, and I think for the tastings, as far as the tastings are concerned, it's just surround yourself with generally happy people, and you should have a good experience.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you could get marred with the negativity of a strange palate, I should say.
So let's talk really briefly about the new restaurant. So
cool.
It's going to be focused on tempura.
Yeah, man.
Tell us about some of the dishes that you're coming up with for the restaurant.
Well, to be honest with you, I've spent most of my my R&D time on the tempura batter itself. Okay. It's so important. And it's not, in Japan, it's a very precious experience. So we're gonna do tempura. It's very seasonal. In the summer we're gonna do soft-shell crabs. We're gonna do Gulf shrimp. We're gonna do tempura of ramps. All the different vegetables you find in the green market. We're also going to do some frying things that aren't tempura, like tonkatsu, which is basically a Japanese cutlet.
Yeah.
We'll do.
And it's usually just breaded and pan-fried.
In panko, yeah. The first one I'm going to do, I think, is a warm veal head terrine that will be sliced and then treated like a cutlet. And then when you fry it, it's nice and crisp on the outside. Then when you cut it, it's like this molten veal head, like veal love coming out of it.
Oh, wow.
And I'll serve that with a wasabi grabiche. There's a lot of fun stuff
Excellent. All right,
go.
well, we're going to have to head down to Carmine Street and get a taste of that for ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
come on.
And again, thank you for the pairings today.
No problem. Thanks for eating, man.